Welcome to Learn Python 3 the Hard Way, exercise 50. This is the video for Microsoft Windows. If you need OS 10 or Linux, please use the Mac OS version of this video. Now, at the time that I wrote the book, I had fixed this exercise, or so I thought, for Windows and for the new version of the book, but actually I must have missed all the edits, or I didn't change them. I didn't change what I thought I changed. So in the book that you have, it's most likely not correct. So if you contact a publisher, go to the publisher's website, you should be able to get the errata. You should have access to this video at the time of publication, so this video is accurate. And if you email me at help@learncodethehardway.com, then I will be able to actually give you the updated exercise and make sure that you have that. So follow along with this. Even though I say read the instructions in the book, honestly, the book is going to be wrong, so use the video. And that should be a good demonstration of just how bad programmers like me are at doing documentation. Okay, let me deactivate my virtual environment. All right, and then what I'm going to want to do is I'm going to make sure that you want your virtual environment to be activated. That's the first thing you got to do. I deactivated it so that way I could show you how you have to activate it. A lot of people have contacted me asking why things are missing. It's because they forgot to activate their virtual environment. So we're good. And then the next thing I do is do pip install Flask. All right. So once you have pip install Flask, now yours is going to be different. Mine says it's already installed because to speed the video up, I installed it ahead of time, but you'll get download bars and progress bars and all that stuff. And then if you want, you can do pip list to see what you've got. And that should be most of the stuff you have. Okay, now next thing is we're going to set up a fake project. So I actually had my projects all set up and I did something, I'm not sure how, but basically I messed up my project directory. So rather than try to fix it, what I'm going to do is I'm going to make a new one. And I'm going to go to Learn Python the Hard Way instead of projects. But what you should do is you should cd projects, and then you should make a Gothon web right there. Okay, so let me do clear. Let me go to Learn Python the Hard Way. I'm going to do it here, and you do projects. You know what? Do it wherever you want. But the idea is we're going to make Gothon web. Now, I think I already have this Gothon web floating around. No, I don't. Good, great. Okay, so I'm going to do make dir Gothon web. Okay, and I'm going to go here and I'm going to do make dir bin, make dir Gothon web again, make dir tests, make dir docs, make dir templates. All right, and then I'm going to do new item type file Gothon web / dunder init dunder py. And new item dash type file tests dunder init dunder py. All right, so that should give you everything. And just to make sure that things are kind of working, just do nose tests. And the term nose test is not recommended. Oh, nose tests, plural. There we go. You should have 0. You should have nothing running, but it should pull things up. If you have errors, it'll pop it up. Okay, now the next thing is we're going to make a file called app.py. So I already have that file, and so to speed things up, I'm calling exercise 50 here, copy to app.py, and then I'm going to do Control-T, app.py. Okay, I found the file, and let me see, great. And remember, to get that, just do Control-Right, or Control \. Okay, so I have this file. Now this is in the code in the book, so just type this in. That should be fairly trivial for you. And when you want to run it, you're going to run into a potential problem. So this happened to me 2 times, 2 different ways. So first time is app.py. That's how you run it. Okay, now the first mistake that I made was I had some text selected, okay? And if you do that, PowerShell pauses everything. So when you try to go to that, and let me just go to a tab and do HTTP 127 like that. 127.0.0.1 is supposed to be your local computer. So the browser is currently trying real hard to connect this, but it can't because PowerShell has everything locked. So that's because I have text selected. Hit enter and then it'll work. Okay, so that's the first thing. Now, you should be able to keep hitting enter. You should be able to just come in here and just do this all day long. Okay, no problem. However, I had some serious issues with Flask just locking up and not working anymore. Don't know why. Probably something weird I'm not aware of. So that problem plus I now can't quit. I can hit Control C all day long. Sometimes it works. Sometimes I can hit Control C. There's some sort of event loop going on in the background and it catches it. Maybe if I just hold it down, sometimes it works. It just is very, very unreliable. So now the only way that you can get out of it, and it's supposed to be that. That's how it's supposed to work. Okay. But if you have Flask lock up, you can't hit Control C, you can't close the PowerShell window, which happened, then this is the fix. Let me just Control C for real out of this. Okay, this is the fix. Oh wait, actually I gotta go back to the code. If you do this, you do threaded equals true. It will use threads to keep track of what's going on, and threads work a lot better on Windows. And then Control C and everything should work really reliably. You shouldn't have any problems with it locking up. So if I give this a run again, it also should, maybe it'll run a little better. We'll see. Okay, and this is all working. Just make sure I can hit refresh, 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 refresh. F5, 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 F5. Great. And I can Control C. And there we go. So try that. I'm not sure what it is. I think it's some problem with how Flask is looping, but whatever. Just added the threads if you're in Windows. Okay, so once we have that, we're running the application, and we know how to run it now. And if you read the book, it's actually reliable as far as what goes. So next we're going to fix some errors. So I'm going to cause an error. And then again, see how over here I have this selected right there? Don't do that. That's when it locks up. Okay, so now I'm going to flip back to the code. I'm going to cause an error. And actually, the code I have here is slightly different. So let me just make the code match what's in the book now. So that's the code when it was published, and then I changed it to be a little more reliable. Okay, pop back, close it, start it again, come over here, hit refresh, refresh, refresh. Oh, let me make sure it's open. Refresh, 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 refresh. Okay, great. So now I'm going to cause an error. I'm going to comment this out. You can delete the line or just comment it out. I'm going to save it. Okay, and we have to quit Flask again, start it back up. Okay, and then make this boom, 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 boom. Okay, so see we got an error. 500 means that the server had some big explosion internally. Now, if you look back here, it shows name error. Greeting is not defined. So that's just a typical error, but then you can see it's line 7 that it seems to have. Here's app.py. That's just like your normal sort of exception, so not a big deal. So what we're going to do, though, is we're going to make it do it a little more nicely. I mean, that's fine. We have this debug output, right? No big deal, and that works. But we're going to do it a little more reliably. So what you're going to do on Windows, you're going to do env flask debug equals 1. So that sets an environment variable. Now we're going to start our broken web application, okay? And it's going to give us this debugger pin. So that protects us in case we put this on the internet or someone can get to it, because debug mode on almost every web application gives you special tools to access the machine, and we don't really want that. So we're going to cause this error, and it's going to ask us for the debug pin. At least I believe that's what it's going to do. So let's give it a shot. Oh, let's see. Let's cause it again. There we go. So we have a better output. This is in the browser, and I think if we go back, yeah, we get the actual error this way too. and then we come back to the browser and we get a nicer output. So we can actually see all the environments. It shows me every place where the code is at, and it shows me where it is here, and then I can expand this out and I can see the actual full code for the file. So this is why it's oh yeah, and then it gives you an interactive pin, so I can actually come in here and I can paste that in. Confirms the pin for me, and now it's supposedly doing an interactive mode, which you know, isn't really as useful as they think it is. So let me see, interactive. Oh, yeah, that's not really doing much. But anyways, that's supposed to give you even more help. So, caught an exception in your WSGI. You're gonna look at the traceback. There you go. That's how you can get better debugging, but do not put this on the internet. Don't put debug mode on the internet. So if you want to run this and have it work, no problem. If you want to run this and do your testing, no problem. If you put this on the internet, people can see where your files are, access the files themselves. They can run consoles. They can do all kinds of crazy stuff. So just never put it on there. Okay, so that's how you do debug mode. All right. Now we're going to create a simple template. So there was one error that someone had ran into that I'm going to point out to you. First, I'm going to fix this thing. All right. Now, by default, Flask is supposed to look for templates. So let me just get a template up here. So I'm going to do, and you can tell, templates. Oh, and I believe index to here, and I'm going to cat it real quick just to take a look. Okay, and then I'm going to move it to templates. All right, so that's where the file is supposed to go. Now the contents of this file are in the book, so I'm going to actually open up Gothon Web templates index.html. Okay, so this is an HTML file, but the way a template works is you make holes. It's similar to the F strings where, you know, we had over here, we had this F string here. That's a hole. It's going to put variables in it. With a template, we're basically making we're kind of using code, and then we're using the code and we're putting holes in the code. So you get these, you know, if you put two curly braces, it pops in greeting, there it is, which is similar to what you get with an F string. And if you do curly brace and %, it's sort of like statements. It's like code. So here's an if statement. All right. Everything else is going to be HTML. In a way, it's kind of the inverse of Python. In Python, everything is code, Python code. And then when it runs into quotes, it assumes you want some text, maybe an HTML page or something. In the template, it's the inverse. It assumes that you want everything to be not code. You want it to be HTML. And then when you want code, you do special escape sequences to get code. Okay, so to make this work, we're going to have to change this up so that way it loads it. So the first thing we got to do is we got a greeting, and we're going to use a function called render template. And we got to tell it index.html. And we're going to say greeting equals greeting. Okay, so that's going to pass the greeting variable. Now we need to get that render template from somewhere. So we're going to do from Flask import render template. Okay, so now that I have the template there, and I'm explicitly saying render template, then I can pass it the name of a file. And by default, on most systems, it's supposed to use templates. So we'll see if that works, because there's some people who have said that it does not work. You have to tell it where the template is. And remember, we're still in debug mode. So let me do a refresh and see what I get. Try this out. Okay, so it worked. Now, if you run into it, and I have no idea why some people have errors like these and some don't. Like, I ran into Flask just locking up. I ran into not being able to hit Control-C. Different people run into different problems all the time. So what you want to do, if you do have that problem, when you do, I believe if you do Flask templates equals templates, then it will load them up reliably. Now, let me make sure. No, it's not that one. What is the... oh, no, that's right. I think it's in the run. templates equals templates. Yes, it's a template folder because, is it template folder on that? I'm actually looking at the Flask documentation to find this out. Yes, okay, so it's actually going to be up here. This name, template folder equals templates. Okay, and let me just double check that that's true. Yep, I believe that's it. Okay, let's run it again. Okay, we got that. Okay, let's come in here and make sure that that's correct. Okay, so now it found the templates. I don't know why one or two people reported on Windows that they had this problem. It could be the version of Windows. I know different versions of Windows are wildly different for whatever reason. So if you have where it cannot find your template folder, then use this one here. Okay, so now once you've got that and it's all working, I believe that's the end of the exercise. So you got a few study drills, yes. And you should be reading the documentation. So if I come over here, I'm going to do, let me go up here, and I'm going to do Flask documentation. And go there. And with the Flask documentation, here is everything you need to know about Flask. It'd be really good to read this. And also, if you're looking for code to read through, I would start with the tutorial and get the tutorial working. Do this whole app here. And once you've done that whole app, then you're ready to go. You can actually do quite a lot of things. Okay, so that's the end of exercise 50 for Windows. It's kind of a pain, and I'm really sorry that I messed up the first version of this in the textbook, but you have the video, and now you can actually fix all this stuff, and just please contact me if you need any help or you want the errata. All right, thank you.